All right, so going to be talking about a comic that was thankfully sent to me by my friend Chris. Thank you as always, brother. And that is Fantastic Four Gargoyles. Now, Multi, I hear you say, wouldn't you have gotten this yourself? Well, I actually wasn't planning on getting it because I thought it was a mini series. And this is the part where I complain about trades, the lack of them from being published by Dynamite. Yeah, I'm so far behind in the Gargoyles story from the Greg Weisman Gargoyles story as well as other stuff because Dynamite, come on, man! There's so much Gargoyles I want to read, but none of them have been posting them. Like none of them have been releasing in trade outside of Volume One. I want to read Dark Ages. I want to read the Demona miniseries, and I know, oh, but why don't you just get them in single issues? It's a lot easier for me to read in trade. Okay. So I didn't know this was a one-shot. And the other one, because this is going to be one of those, you do one, we'll do one. So this is the Marvel one, and Dynamite will be doing a one-shot, I believe, in November, which will be Gargoyles Fantastic Four, which it might be a sequel to this. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll see. So, so Fantastic Four Gargoyles. Well, for starters, I feel like it should have been called Marvel Gargoyles, because there's a lot more than, Fantastic Four in here. We have another superhero that shows up in this comic as well. So what is the story of this book? Well, basically, if you read the prelude in the free comic book day issue, the Fantastic Four meet with Angela, Broadway, and Lex, and meet up with them. But before that, we get a prelude where Demona actually saves another one of her daughters. Yeah, that's a thing. She had more than one daughter other than Angela, from Diablo. Now, if you don't know who Diablo is a classic Fantastic Four villain. And I stress classic because he was one of the first villains the Fantastic Four battled. He was one of their early ones. And if you don't know who he is, he's basically a guy who's an alchemist. He does dabble in sorcery, but he's more alchemy than anything else, and just lies and says it's magic or science. Basically, Diablo was trying to use Demona's other daughter for harnessing her blood for an immortality spell. Demona saved her; they got away. And now we fast forward to where we left off, and thankfully we don't get the old "I don't know you don't know me, let's fight." They even make a joke about that, and thankfully Greg Weisman is smarter than that. So essentially, and I find it weird because it feels really like a weak explanation to bring the Gargoyles and the Fantastic Four together, because Sue basically does a lot of the talking in this book, and Reed is kind of I'll get to that in a minute, but Sue basically explains, we need your help fighting the Gray Gargoyle, he's not really a Fantastic Four villain, he's more of a Thor villain than anything else. But I was like, really? The Fantastic Four couldn't battle the Gray Gargoyle, who's just going around turning people to stone? There's a reason for that. But yeah, I kind of feel like that's a little weak. That, we need the Gargoyles' help to fight the Gray Gargoyle. I feel like the only reason it's a really weak reason why Gray Gargoyle is here, but I feel like Weisman was just like, his name is Gargoyle and I write Gargoyles. And speaking of Gargoyle, speaking of Gargoyles, Marvel's Gargoyle shows up in here. Yeah, for those who don't know, there is actually a Marvel superhero called Gargoyle. He's kind of like Marvel's Etrigan, where the dude, he was a human man who put his body, his soul, through magic, into a stone gargoyle's body and was given life. And when I saw him, I was like, wait, is that the Gargoyle? And I thought to myself, yeah, of course he would be in a book about gargoyles. Marvel has their own gargoyle, and not once did I think earlier that we wouldn't have a gargoyle in our Gargoyle comics. I knew we were going to get Gray Gargoyle, but the Gargoyle, yeah, I've said gargoyle 9 times, Jesus. On top of that, you also have, this is why it should have been called a Marvel book, because we do get Tony meeting David Xanatos. And yeah, I also do kind of like the armor that the artist gives Tony in this book. Just real quick, I want to show it off. I like the design of it. It is have a bulky chest, but it does feel like classic Iron Man, like a more updated version of the classic 70s Iron Man armor. So yeah, but it is really cool to see David Xanatos and Tony Stark meet. I would love a whole comic of them just fighting it out. But yeah. Now, I will be honest, this does have some canonic issues. I mean, Gargoyles, yeah, it's fine, but, like, there are some things on the Fantastic Four end that don't make sense to me, but this is a crossover comic, so I'm not bothered by it. Like, having Dragon Man in here as a villain, which doesn't make any sense to me, because at this point, Dragon Man is still like, to my knowledge, Dragon Man's still a good guy. He's either, like, bebopping around with She-Hulk, or he's with the Fantastic Four. He hasn't really been a villain since he got reprogrammed. So, that didn't make any sense to me. Sorry, I had to get something to drink real fast. But I was like, whatever, it's a crossover comic, it's fine. And then we see, like, the entirety of the Fantastic Four family. And they have the Baxter Building. So, yeah, this isn't part of the Ryan North run. So, it's kind of its own continuity, which is fine. And when I say the rest of the Fantastic Four family, I mean, like, Ben and Alicia's kids, which are adopted Kree and Skrull. This also doesn't feature all of the Fantastic Four, because Reed gets taken out by the Grey Gargoyle, leaving only Sue, Johnny, and Ben. Kind of shows which characters Weisman wanted to write for this comic. I joke, but I feel like that's the case. Anyway. So, yeah, the comic does the comic has a lot of spinning wheels because it's all of course, machination of Diablo. Which, when they reveal of how it ties in with Xanatos as well as Grey Gargoyle and all the factors, I was like, that feels really convoluted, like overtly convoluted. So, like, Diablo was using Grey Gargoyle to like stun the Fantastic to get the Fantastic Four, to get the Gargoyles to join them, but also he had Tony steal a device Xanatos from stealing from Tony to get a device to him that was in case it didn't work. What? I'm like genuinely confused. I was a little confused by Diablo's like machinations. I was just kind of like in this mindset of like, this plot doesn't make any goddamn sense. But yeah. It is a cool comic. It is a really fun one. And while it has a lot of spinning wheels, I think it handles itself pretty well. I especially love just having all these characters interact. And Weisman clearly has a love for the Marvel Universe. And I'm curious to see where we go with the second comic, because it makes me wonder, is there going to be, like, are they setting up for a sequel in Gargoyles Fantastic Four? Or is it going to be like its own comic? I don't know. I don't even know if Weisman's writing the next book. Maybe he is. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I also do like the fact that like we don't do the two heroes don't know each other and they just fight, because I feel like even Weisman's like, yeah, the FF would just wreck them. But I do like how. The two like the Gargoyle, even the Fantastic Four are like, yeah, we're Gargoyles, like, yeah, we see you on TV all the time. So I like it's like it's one of those shared Earth crossovers. And I also really enjoy the fact at the end, Xanatos is like, well, I didn't know, I was just trying to get Diablo offered me eternal life. I didn't know that Angela would be the Gargoyle he'd sacrifice for the eternal life. I had no idea. Goliath, we're buddies, remember? Yeah, besties. See? Heart. See what I mean? Like, again, when people say, oh, Xanatos is a redeemed hero, no, he's not. Xanatos, just because Xanatos says he's not going to make war with the Gargoyles anymore after saving his son Alexander, that doesn't mean he's redeemed. If anything, it just means if my plans basically don't involve the Gargoyles directly anymore. But if they get involved in my plans, oh well. I'm not directly making war with them, but if they get in my way, or if they become like become the fallout of my plans, then, I'll just consider that collateral damage, because I'm keeping my word here. That's on them, you see. Like, that whole spiel, that whole mess is on them. So I do like that, again, Weisman kind of proves, hey, Xanatos is still Xanatos. At the end of the day, Xanatos is gonna Xanatos, and that's really all you can really say about the character. So I do have to stress that again. Anyway, the comic's really good. I enjoyed it. Is the plot is Diablo's machination, like his plan, really overly convoluted that needed certain things to work out? Because again, the Fantastic Four could have gone to the Avengers or Thor directly, or just handled him himself. Maybe I missed something of saying like maybe they got maybe I just missed that in the writing, but I don't think so. Anyway, so it's a solid book, and I can't wait for the next crossover. And hopefully, this means we get Spider-Man Gargoyles at some point, right? Right, Marvel? That's what we really want, is Spider-Man Gargoyles. We want Weissman writing that book, but having the FF here is really cool too, because I get it, synergy and all that, and I'm a big FF fan, and I like that they didn't do the obvious crossover first. But you got to do Spider-Man Gargoyles, guys. Anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below if you read almost said Spider-Man again, Fantastic Four Gargoyles. What'd you guys think of it? Comment below, let me know. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.